guys, welcome back to my kitchen. In today's video, I am going to show you how to bake a cake that those who say they don't like will actually end up loving. This is the ultimate decadent creamy carrot cake. You might have to pop over to the grocery store for some of these ingredients, but it is way worth the effort. So let me show you what you need to build this cake. 2 cups of light brown sugar, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 eggs, 1 cup of canola or vegetable oil, 10 ml vanilla essence, 10 ml baking soda, 10 ml cinnamon, 3 ml of salt, 1 cup of desiccated coconut. You can decide if you want to toast them or not. I did the toasting. I have a can of crushed pineapple. We have pecan nuts, about 100 grams. We have 375 ml of carrots that we're going to grate up. Then on the decoration side, filling, we're going to need 3 cups of icing sugar, about 100 grams of cream cheese, butter, also about 50 to 60 grams of those. Then just some more decoration, coconut, edible flowers, and pecan nuts. I am going to need either a whisk, a hand mixer or a stand mixer, our grater of course for our carrot grating, and our 2 cake baking tins. The method of this recipe is quite easy. We're going to start by putting all our dry ingredients together. I have my 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I have my baking soda, salt, and cinnamon sugar. Notice that we don't have any baking powder in this cake because I'm using eggs and it's going to rise up perfectly with that. We don't want a carrot cake that goes like this anyway. All of the ingredients we put in is going to make it a little bit heavier, so you'll end up having a nice and smooth cake. I'm going to put in all of my dry ingredients together and I'm going to whisk it up a bit until everything is nice and combined. You want to get all of those lumps out and end up with very, very fine powder. Our second step, we're going to just put those aside. We're going to take our bowl, input our sugar, light brown sugar. Just get all of this out. We're going to add our canola or vegetable oil. I like using canola oil. It's a little bit healthier in my mind in some way. And then I'm going to add in the eggs and the vanilla essence. And we're going to mix those up together with either our hand whisk or whatever how you have available. Remember to always crack your eggs inside a pitcher or maybe a small plate, just to make sure you don't end up having all of those eggshells inside of the batter. Once we have our eggs mixed in, all that needs is the vanilla essence. We're going to add 10 ml or a tablespoon full of vanilla essence. You can use a normal teaspoon or tablespoon. Just make sure it is leveled up and doesn't spill over. But vanilla is also very nice inside a cake, so that doesn't really matter. And I'm going to take my hand whisk and mix this up, and I'll show you what it should look like once we are done. There we go. It took me about 4 minutes to beat up the egg, sugar, vanilla and oil mixture. When you feel it, you would probably feel all of the sugar granules still there. Don't worry about that. That's perfectly fine and the way we want it. We just wanted it a little bit combined and nice and light in color. We're going to put it aside and head over to our carrots. The carrots, I want to chop off the ends. Take my carrot peeler and just peel away. If you don't have a carrot peeler, you can just maybe clean them up a bit with a knife. Once I've cleaned them all up, I'm going to put that aside. I'm just going to take my grater and I'm going to use the fine side to it, which mine actually don't have. My goodness, let me get another one. I want to use the fine side and I'm going to grate up the carrots until I have roughly about 1.5 cup of grated carrots. I like having it fine like this. It's not those big pieces inside the batter. I'm going to do all of these and then I'm going to come back and show you what's next. I'm almost done with all of the carrots I need. I'm now done grating the carrots. This little one is going to stay right there with our peeler for later with the decoration. I have a cute little tip for you to make it pretty. So we have our carrots ready. And our next step is going to be to chop up all of our pecan nuts. Now, I'm just going to chop them up like this. I don't want them small pieces where I don't taste them. So I will just continue chopping them until I break up all of the big pieces. There we go. As you can see, I've chopped up most of the big pieces, but I still have little bits of chunks ones inside there. We're going to add all of this together in our flour. The reason I am adding all of this now is I don't want to coat the pecan nuts and our carrots and coconut with the flour, so when we end up baking, they don't go and sink to the bottom of our baking tin. We want them nicely, evenly spread right through our batter of the cake, so everyone gets a taste of everything. So firstly, I am going to add in all of our carroted carrots, just like that. And I am going to start just with my hands and toss them together like this. You want all of the carrots coated evenly. Just like this. I'm going to add in my pecans and coat them as well. Exactly the same as I did with the carrots. If you don't like working with your hands inside the batter, that's perfectly okay. There's a lot of people who doesn't. Then just take your spoon or your wooden spoon and just work them in until everything is coated. So once I have the pecans in and coated evenly, I'm going to add the desiccated coconut. This is getting a bit messy. I might have chosen a very small bowl here. I'm just going to continue coating them until everything is tossed together. There we go. Now it's time to add all of these to our sugar mixture. This is not the place where I'm going to start continue using my hands. I am going to switch over to that wooden spoon now. And now I am just combining our sugar mixture with the flour and the coated ingredients we added. You will notice the batter becoming very thick and almost hard to work with. This is the perfect time to add in those crushed pineapples. I drained them, but I still have some of the juice of the pineapples left inside. I'm coating everything and combining everything together. But for one last step, I am going to use my hand mixer, switch over to my hand mixer, and just take 1 minute or so and combine it with this. Now that I am certain my mixture is thoroughly combined and everything is blended together perfectly, I am going to get started on preheating my oven at 180 degrees Celsius. Do a quick clean up, put these in the pans, and we'll get started on our filling. So my oven is ready at 180 degrees Celsius. I've coated my baking tins with non-sticking spray. You can use my Miracle Whip recipe as well. And I'm just going to add the batter inside of the tins, about, let's say, 3/4 full. Remember, we didn't use any baking powder inside this recipe, so we only used eggs, and that's going to make a nice and flat and even cake when it comes out. So I'm just going to divide my batter into both of the baking tins evenly if I can. And I'm going to put them into the oven and have them bake for 30 minutes at 180 degrees. Nice, once that we are back, I'm going to show you how to make our filling and coating for the outside of the cake. So while our cake is baking away, I am going to show you how to make the frosting and the filling. With our 3 cups of icing sugar, our cream cheese, and our butter. I'm going to start by adding the cream cheese, the whole butter. This is about, let me just double check for you, 175 grams of cream cheese. I'm going to use the whole tin or bucket or whatever you find it inside. I'm also going to use all of the butter, add it together, get those out. And I'm going to start mixing these two together until they are nice, fluffy and creamy. If you feel that your cream cheese mixture is very thick and doesn't get together nicely, you may add a little bit at a time of milk and just start mixing and combining them until everything is worked in together. Please don't add a lot of milk, because the butter and cream cheese should be enough to make a very delicious and fluffy frosting. But if you keep adding milk, you won't end up with the consistency you want, and it will be messy and liquidy, and you'll just have to add more icing sugar, and in the end you'll just have a lot of wastage. So my frosting is thick and lumpy, and I've used about 1/4 of my milk, and now I can put my mixer on high and let it whip away until it is nice and fluffy. As you can see, my frosting is light white, fluffy, cloud-like deliciousness, and I am so excited for that cake to come out of the oven, cool down, so we can start decorating. So as you can hear, my cake has been baking for 30 minutes at 180 degrees. But now I'm going to turn off my cake at 20 degrees more. So I'm going to bake it at 160 now for another 30 minutes. And then we will be ready to take it out of the oven. So my cake came out of the oven after another 30 minutes. I tipped them out after 5 minutes of cooling inside the tin. And man, you should smell my kitchen. It is cinnamony, cakey, carroty, and they rose perfectly. They smell divine. And now I'm just going to wrap them up in cling wrap, put them in the fridge to have them cool down completely, and then we're going to start our decorating. Right now I'm just wrapping up my cakes. The reason I'm doing this is there might be a time that goes by before you can actually decorate your cake. So to keep my cake moist and fresh, when it's still half warm, I wrap them up in cling wrap and then put them in the fridge. That way they keep their moistness. I have no idea what the scientific is behind it, but for some reason when it's cooled down and I take them out, it's still perfect, like they came just out of the oven. So these 2 layers are going straight inside my fridge, and when they are perfectly cooled down, I'm going to come back and show you exactly what to do next. So our cake layers have cooled off completely and we're ready to do the whole decorating. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of icing on my plate. I've just used my normal cake plate here. You can just use a normal kitchen plate, doesn't matter what you use. And I'm going to start layering the cake. I'm going to put the first layer down and I'm going to just put a thick layer of my cream cheese right on the level. Once I have the desired amount that I want in between the cakes, I am going to take a little bit of my pecan nuts that I've crushed and just drop them right onto the icing or frosting. Then I'm going to take my second layer, putting that directly on top of the first. If I can get it open. There we go. Now when you put on the second layer, you want to take the side that is completely flat and not the ruffled side. I want my cake to be flat on top, so I'm choosing this one to be on top, and I'm just pressing it onto the first layer. And then I'm repeating the process. I'm just going to add a thick layer of cream cheese on top and start to spread it around, just like that. So with this cake, I want to decorate the sides as well. So I'm going to cover my cake in frosting all around, putting on a thick layer. As you can see, there's a lot of tools you can use to spread this out. You can use spatulas, you can use the back of this knife, you can even use a ruler, or you get special scrapers to do that as well. You can use any one that you wanted to make it even. And once you covered the cake all around, you can just use whatever method you chose and spread it out, getting all of the excess right now. As you can see, I firmed up and cleaned up my cake completely, and I'm going to put this into the fridge for 15 minutes to firm up. Now you can use this just as it is and put your decorations on top and call it a naked cake, which is very trendy and very beautiful and very eye-catching. But I still have a lot of frosting left and I want to use that. So I'm going to quickly pop this into the fridge. As soon as it comes out, I'm going to show you what to do next. So my crumb coating firmed up nicely, and now I'm ready to put on my last and second layer. I have frosting left, like I showed you, and I took a little bit, about 2 or 3 tablespoons out, and now I'm just gonna add gel coloring to it and make some of the frosting a nice orange color. And I'm going to add the rest of the frosting inside of a piping bag. I'm going to take my piping bag, put it in a tall glass, and put it over the glass, and then just fill it up with the rest of the frosting I have left. I am then going to take this frosting and coat the whole cake with it again. If you don't have a piping bag, that's totally fine. You can just put the frosting directly onto the cake like we did with the crumb coating. I'm just going to go around the cake and drop off lines like that. Once I've done that, I'm going to take my spatula and just make the whole cake covered. And there's no technique in this, I'm just running my spatula right through, and I'm going to take the last bit that I have left and put it on top. I'm going to clear it out and continue doing this. Now remember, we still have the orange to put on. What I'm going to do with the orange, I'm going to take this spoon and just drop off small pinches like that everywhere. For the top, I'm going to take a whole dollop and put it just on top and just swirl it around with my spoon. So on top, I'm going to have a full orange cover, and on the sides, I have these droplets now, which I'm going to take a spatula or a knife, anything I can use, to just foam it up and slide it around the cake and get different colors, just like that. Once we have done that, we can start with the rest of the decorations. Now that you are close, this is what our cake looks like, in color scheme anyway, and I'm going to start decorating. So I have this bunch of edible flowers. I am just going to drop them all over the one side like this. You can do any way you choose, it doesn't matter. You can go all around the cake with the flowers. I just want to do one side for now. And remember, these are edible, so you can do as much as you want, as little as you want, and just drop them off like that. Now that I have, I think I want to put on some on the sides as well. Let me get some more quickly. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of flowers in front as well. Let me put the cake like this so you can see the front, and open this up. As you can see, I have a bunch of these flowers and they're really not expensive, so I'm gonna drop off more edible flowers on top as well there. And there we go. Once I've completed the look that I wanted, and I think I'm gonna make it run down from the top to the bottom like that. I like working with flowers, so most of my cakes will have flowers on it. Then I have some of these pecan nuts left, and I am just going to drop them around anywhere where I can find some space. So now we have our layer of frosting, cream cheese frosting, and we have pecans inside and pecans outside. Everyone will actually know what is inside of our cake. And I'm going to end that off, whoops, on this side as well. There we go. And then I have some toasted coconut, which I'm just going to drop over. Now remember, there's no certain way of doing this. You can use your own creativity and do whatever you feel like doing. I just decided, this isn't planned, so I just decided I'm gonna go all the way around the border of my cake and drop in some of this toasted coconut right at the bottom. And just continue going all the way around until I am done. And then there's one last thing. Remember, I showed you the one single carrot we had left. I'm gonna make swirls with this. Just keep making strings first with my little pea layer. And then I'm gonna take the piece and I am going to roll it around or roll it up and make almost a flower. There we go. And I'm going to use this as decoration as well. Now everyone knows this is a carrot cake. They know there is pecans inside, and you're showing all of your creativity onto this cake. I'm going to continue doing this until I am done, and then we are finally ready to cut into our cake. And as you know, I enjoy my glitter, and now I'm just going to drop a whole bunch of glitter all around this and make it even more special. And there you go. how easy was that? A 2 thick layer, delicious, creamy, decadent carrot cake that you can enjoy at any party and be the talk of it. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have time to decorate your own carrot cake, make it and share it with your family and friends.